Hi. I went for a walk the other day. Well, I guess it's been about 2 weeks ago now this event happened. And got me thinking about narcissism. Many of us who are challenged with leaving a narcissist or staying away, going no contact with the narcissist, statistically speaking, we return to the narcissist one time, 2 times, 3 times. We repeat this pattern until finally we decide that enough is enough. And oftentimes you will hear your friends and family and even strangers, I don't know why they stay with that person. If it were me, I would leave. Well, leaving isn't so easy as leaving isn't pretty. Leaving is going to cost you when you leave a narcissist. And I encountered an event a couple of weeks ago as I went for a walk. And I didn't realize the importance of what I was seeing in the way that helped me bring to understanding why people don't leave, why it took me 20 years in a narcissistic marriage before I finally had enough. I began working on myself probably 5 years before the marriage ended, so I began to realize things about myself and issues about my marriage. However, it took me a long time, as it takes most of us a very long time to realize what the heck is going on with us and within the dynamics of the relationship. I went for a walk, and it was just a part of my routine that I do. I wasn't expecting to see anything, but I came across a domestic dispute that was escalating. And had I been not there, I don't know what would have happened, because there was a witness. There was 2 people involved, a man and a woman. And the third party decided to take the back seat and just observe and not even say anything, not come to the woman's defense or come to the man to say, hey, cool off, man, you're going too far. So I'm across the street and I witness this man shouting at this woman. And I slowly walk and I'm observing, I'm being cautious, and I'm just like, oh dear. And then I saw him push her. And I spoke up and I said, hey, back off. Don't put your hands on her. And he looked at me and he ignored me, continued to shout at her, and he was like verbally aggressive, like with his arms, his gestures. He was just all over the place. And he was shouting and he was getting closer to her, and they were shouting near their car. And she's talking to him, I sent you proof in the text. It's in the text. Why don't you read your text? And he's like talking to her in a way that's demeaning and controlling. And he went to go shove her again, and she opened the door of the car, and he went to shove her and closed the door on her. And I yelled from across the street, I said, walk it off, walk it off. And I'm yelling at him, walk it off. And then he says to me, he says, you want me to come over there and kick the shit out of you? And he said it like in a way that was so volatile, like he didn't care who he was hurting. And I understand that. And I didn't react in a way of fear. I didn't retreat into what I knew. I just was standing up for this woman. What is right is right. What is wrong. And I just called and I said, are you threatening a civilian? Because he threatened my life. And so I stayed on the other side of the road, and I observed. And the woman, she held the car door open. She got in the car and she was speaking to her friend or boyfriend, husband, whoever he was, she was speaking to him from the car, and she wasn't yelling at him. She was trying to reason with him. She was like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, her verbal responses were everything that a person who has been abused by a narcissist would say. And he was the aggressor, and he was gaslighting her. He was manipulating her, using his aggression to intimidate her, which is wrong. All of it was wrong. All of it is wrong. And he's demanding that she get out of the car. He's like, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car. And I'm secretly saying to myself, girl, you get out of that car, that's the worst thing you could ever do. Stay in the car. And thankfully she stayed in the car, and she ended up driving away. Now, I know that this scenario probably brings up memories for you, as that is healthy. You are in control of your feelings. And that's the point I want to share with you by sharing this with you, and what it all has to do with the people who say, I don't know why she stays with him. I would have left a long time ago. Or, I don't know why he stays with her. I wouldn't put up with that. Well, they're coming from a place of ignorance. They do not know. They don't understand. They've never been in that situation, and if they have, well, maybe they didn't even recognize it, and they were able to get out right away before anything bad happened. So, upon reflection of this scenario, I was thinking about this today, that when you are in a volatile situation, when you are being traumatized on a daily basis, when you are walking on those eggshells, and you literally do, I mean, you're ruminating 5 hours before the aggressor comes home, and you're trying to figure out how to conduct yourself 5 hours before they get home, and you're coming up with scenarios to keep the peace, or you're ruminating about their mannerisms and how they're going to treat you when they get home 5 hours later. Like, that's just the mindset that we're in, and that mindset is one of fear. And when you are in the situation, when you are in a violent situation, a domestic abuse situation, it doesn't matter if the person is violent one day and nice the next, and violent the next day, nice 3 days in a row, and then violent again. That's all trauma bonding. And just because the person is nice one day doesn't mean that you're not being abused. You still are. And when you're involved in something like that, you're in too deep. You can't see the forest for the trees. You just can't. You can't see how you need to get out. You can't see what the damage is doing to you. You can't see that there's any damage to you. You can feel it. But unless you see it with your own eyes, and you're too close, you're not distant enough from the situation to see the situation through a lens that allows you to remain in control of your feelings. And that's what I observed when I observed this domestic abuse outside the home in public, on the public roadway. I was walking on the other side of the street, and I saw this on somebody's front lawn. It caused me to pause that, yeah, you can recognize something when it's outside of yourself, but when it's on the inside, when it involves you and your emotions, and you've invested all this time and this emotion and this feeling into this person, it's not so easy to leave. And so that's what I want this message in this video to be about, that give yourself a break. Don't listen to the people who are ignorant of the abuse because they've never experienced it. Understand that it's going to take time for you to leave. It's going to take time for you to even let go. Even if you're outside of the relationship now and you're waffling whether you should go no contact or stay no contact or remain friends with this individual, it's going to take time. It's going to take time for you to realize what you need to do for you. And you will do what you need to do for you when you are ready, not before. So don't listen to those comments that are negative. And don't allow other people to judge you. You judge yourself enough. The narcissist judges you enough. Just realize that if you were standing on the outside of your life looking in, what would that look like? Replace when you're talking to yourself and going through the scenarios of what the hell just happened, how could he hit you, how could she spit in your face, how could she or he say such nasty things to you, revisit that, but put your friend or a loved one in front of that narcissist and that volatile situation, and allow yourself to step back and detach and look at the scenario of you looking in on the situation as the situation is happening to somebody that you love. What would that look like? What would you say and what would you feel? Write that down and begin telling yourself these things that you would say to your friend or your loved one. It's time to start being a friend and a loved one to yourself. And that's how you really get free, is when you start seeing your reality for what it is. This is not playing pretend here. This is just taking a step back and standing in control of your feelings instead of allowing your feelings to control you in the moment. Take some time for you to really figure this out. So I hope this helps you, and I want the best for you. I truly do. And your healing comes your way on your own timing. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let anybody demean you and diminish you. You're doing the best that you can. And that is good enough.